Hey everyone, welcome back. Before we dive into one of the most fascinating mysteries in all of Pokemon lore, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. Drop a comment below. It's always amazing to see how this community spans across the globe, connecting us through our shared passion for these incredible stories. Today we're venturing into territory that challenges everything we thought we knew about the Pokemon world. We're talking about beings from beyond our dimension, creatures so alien that researchers initially refused to even classify them as Pokemon. We're talking about the Ultra Beasts. The Alola region brought us sunshine, tropical islands, and a complete reimagining of the Pokemon journey. But beneath that paradise lurked something far more unsettling: cracks in reality itself, doorways to dimensions we were never meant to see, and the terrifying inhabitants of those worlds who found themselves just as lost and confused as we were encountering them. These aren't your typical legendary Pokemon. These are creatures born from a design philosophy that deliberately breaks every rule about what Pokemon should look like. When Shigeru Omori and his team at Game Freak set out to create the Ultra Beasts for Pokemon Sun and Moon, they were given one clear directive: incorporate contradictory elements. Use concepts typically avoided in Pokemon design. Make them feel fundamentally wrong in a way that makes players question what they're even looking at. And they succeeded. Spectacularly. The Ultra Beasts exist at the intersection of cosmic horror and environmental allegory. They're based on the concept of invasive species, organisms transported to ecosystems where they don't belong, causing havoc simply by existing. But these aren't invasive species crossing oceans. These are invasive species crossing dimensions, tearing through the fabric of space-time itself, bringing with them energies and properties that shouldn't exist in our reality. There are 11 Ultra Beasts in total, each one designated with a code name by the International Police before their true names were discovered: UB-01, UB-02, UB-03, and so on. Clinical detached classifications for beings that defied classification. Some were introduced in the original Sun and Moon, while others emerged in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, expanding this terrifying catalog of extra-dimensional life. Every single Ultra Beast shares certain characteristics that mark them as fundamentally different from regular Pokemon. Their base stats are composed entirely of prime numbers, a mathematical anomaly that seems to suggest some universal constant governing their existence. Most Pokeballs have only a 0.1 times catch rate modifier when attempting to capture them, making them nearly impossible to contain with conventional technology. And they all possess an ability called Beast Boost, which increases their highest stat by 1 stage each time. They knock out an opponent, making them exponentially more dangerous as battles progress. But perhaps their most unsettling trait is how they interact with humans who've passed through Ultra Wormholes, individuals known as Fallers. Ultra Beasts are drawn to these people with an almost desperate intensity, sensing the residual energy clinging to them, mistaking it for a doorway home. This makes Fallers both invaluable assets for tracking these creatures and tragic victims, marked by interdimensional forces beyond their control. The story of the Ultra Beasts cannot be told without understanding the spaces between spaces, the cosmic highways connecting infinite realities. To comprehend these creatures, we need to first understand where they come from, and the man who first dared to map the impossible. Professor Mohn was a brilliant researcher working for the Aether Foundation when he made a discovery that would reshape our understanding of reality itself. Through painstaking research, he confirmed the existence of ultra wormholes, unstable portals connecting the Pokémon world to something he named Ultra Space. This wasn't just another dimension, it was an interdimensional spatial realm, a network of pathways linking countless different worlds and realities. Imagine a vast cosmic structure filled with crystalline meteoroids and strange organic growths that seem to blur the line between mineral and living tissue. This is the ultra space that Mohn discovered, a place where normal physics take a backseat to something far stranger. It's populated by members of the Cosmog evolutionary line and serves as the primary highway between different dimensional planes. Ultra wormholes themselves are fascinating and terrifying phenomena. They appear first as cracks in the sky, jagged wounds in reality itself that gradually expand into complete portals. While some occur naturally, most are deliberately opened by specific Pokémon, primarily Cosmog and its evolutions, Solgaleo and Lunala. The process isn't simple or safe. When Cosmog opens a wormhole, it does so under extreme duress, burning through tremendous amounts of energy. Mohn's research indicated that overuse of this power could actually kill a Cosmog, making each portal a potentially fatal act. But why do these wormholes matter? Because they're not just doorways, they're sources of power. The energy that flows through ultra wormholes when they open is the same energy that became known as Z-power in Alola. This revelation fundamentally changed how we understand Z-moves and the mysterious sparkling stones scattered across the region. That power, that energy allowing trainers to unleash devastating attacks, comes from tears in dimensional fabric, from the light of beings like Necrozma bleeding through into our world. Through these wormholes come the Ultra Beasts, and each species originates from its own distinct world within the vast network of Ultra Space. These aren't just alternate dimensions, they're complete ecosystems, entire realities with their own rules and inhabitants. The Ultra Deep Sea is a world of deep blue rocks and towering stalks resembling otherworldly trees, home to the jellyfish-like Nihilego. The Ultra Jungle is a verdant realm where Buzzwole hunts, the Ultra Desert, an endless expanse where Pheromosa roams. Each environment shaped its Ultra Beast inhabitants, creating creatures perfectly adapted to conditions that would be lethal in our world. Then there's Ultra Megalopolis, perhaps the most tragic of these dimensions. This was once a thriving civilization with technology far exceeding our own. The inhabitants lived in harmony with Ultra Necrozma, basking in the light it provided. But when the ancestors of the Ultra Recon squad attempted to control Necrozma, to harness its power for themselves, they damaged the creature so severely that it transformed into a violent, light-hungry beast. In its agony, Necrozma stole all light from Ultra Megalopolis, plunging the entire world into perpetual darkness. The towering Megalo Tower at the city's center now serves as a prison for the creature, providing artificial light to replace what was lost. The different colored wormholes players can encounter in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon actually lead to different types of destinations. White wormholes, the rarest, always lead to Ultra Beast worlds. Red, blue, yellow, and green wormholes lead to what are called the Ultra Space Wilds, dimensional pockets where legendary Pokémon from across the multiverse can be found. These spaces exist as interconnected nodes in the vast web of Ultra Space, suggesting that every legendary encounter, every mythical event we've experienced across every Pokémon game, might be connected through these cosmic pathways. Professor Mohn's fate became intrinsically tied to his research. While attempting to connect to an ultra wormhole, he was pulled through, vanishing from the Pokémon world entirely. When he finally returned, he had no memory of who he was, where he came from, or the family he'd left behind. The man who discovered Ultra Space became one of its first victims, emerging on Poipole with complete amnesia, holding only a pendant with a photo of people he couldn't remember but knew were important. His disappearance devastated his wife, Lusamine, and set in motion events that would nearly destroy the Alola region. The loss of her husband to the very wormholes he'd spent his life studying twisted Lusamine's grief into obsession. If the wormholes had taken him, then perhaps they could also return him. All she needed was to open more wormholes, to bring forth more Ultra Beasts, to dive deeper into that impossible space until she found him again. But Lusamine's story deserves its own examination, because her descent into madness forms the dark heart of the Ultra Beast crisis. To understand what drove these creatures into Alola in such devastating numbers, we need to understand the woman who, quite literally, tore open reality to reach them. The Aether Foundation presents itself as a beacon of hope in the Alola region. Their artificial island, Aether Paradise, serves as a sanctuary for injured and endangered Pokémon. Their stated mission is noble: protect Pokémon through cutting-edge research and conservation efforts. They operate Aether House, an orphanage for human children. Their labs across Alola work on legitimate scientific pursuits. By all outward appearances, they're everything they claim to be. And that's what makes the truth so much more disturbing. Lusamine inherited the Aether Foundation from her father, a wealthy man who genuinely loved Pokémon and built Aether Paradise to protect them. She initially shared his vision, acting as a caring mother figure not just to her own children, but to every Pokémon in the Foundation's care. Employees speak of her with admiration. The conservation work is real. The technology is cutting edge. The Aether Foundation does help Pokémon. But beneath the benevolent surface, something rotted. Professor Mohn's disappearance broke something fundamental in Lusamine. Grief is a powerful force, and when combined with access to unlimited resources and experimental technology, it can warp into something monstrous. Lusamine became obsessed with ultra wormholes and the beasts that came through them. She began to see them not as dangerous, invasive species, but as beautiful, perfect beings from a realm that had taken her husband. Her obsession manifested in disturbing ways. In a secret chamber within Aether Paradise, Lusamine kept a collection of Pokémon in cryogenic stasis. Not because they were injured or endangered, but because she liked them that way. Frozen, preserved, perfect and unchanging, she could control every aspect of their existence. This wasn't conservation. This was possession elevated to pathological levels. Her children bore the brunt of her deteriorating mental state. Lusamine became controlling and emotionally abusive. Treating Lily and Gladion more as possessions than people, she deliberately dressed Lily to resemble Nihilego, the first Ultra Beast Mohn had discovered, in a twisted attempt to recreate what she'd lost. When both children eventually fled the Foundation, stealing Pokémon to protect them from their mother's experiments, Lusamine's response wasn't concern, but rage at having her possessions taken. The Aether Foundation's research into Ultra Beasts went far beyond mere observation. They were actively experimenting with ways to open Ultra Wormholes, to summon these creatures at will. In Secret Lab B, researchers worked with the weakened Cosmog that Mohn had left behind, subjecting it to extreme stress to force it to create wormholes. They knew this could kill Cosmog. They proceeded anyway, driven by Lusamine's increasingly unhinged directives. Faba, the Foundation's branch chief, enabled every aspect of Lusamine's descent. His own ambitions and desire for recognition made him the perfect enabler, carrying out experiments that more ethical scientists would have refused. He created the restrictive helmets for Type Null specimens when they proved too violent. He developed the technology to extract gases from Cosmog to artificially create wormholes. He secretly allied with Team Skull, facilitating their infiltration of Aether Paradise when Lusamine needed muscle to further her plans. The partnership between the Aether Foundation and Team Skull reveals just how far Lusamine had fallen. Team Skull, the gang of delinquents led by the unstable Guzzlord, seemed like unlikely allies for a prestigious research organization. But Guzzlord had his own insecurities and vulnerabilities that Lusamine exploited masterfully. She saw in him a useful tool, someone desperate enough for approval that he'd help her achieve her goals without questioning the consequences. In the original Sun and Moon, Lusamine's ultimate plan was to use Cosmog, nicknamed Nebby by Lily, to open a massive ultra wormhole so she could enter ultra space herself. She didn't care that forcing Nebby to create the wormhole would likely kill it. She didn't care that opening wormholes across Alola would unleash ultra beasts on the unsuspecting population. All that mattered was reaching the ultra beasts, those beautiful beings from beyond, and particularly Nihilego, the creature that had become the focus of her obsession. When the player, along with Gladion, Hau, and Lily, finally confronted Lusamine in her mansion atop Aether Paradise, the full scope of her madness became clear. She possessed a Nihilego in a beast ball captured during a previous incursion. In a scene that remains one of the most disturbing moments in Pokémon history, she released it and then deliberately merged with the Ultra Beast, creating what's known as Mother Beast Lusamine. The fusion was horrific. Nihilego's parasitic nature amplified Lusamine's worst traits. Her hair turned black with blonde streaks, taking on jellyfish-like properties. Her form became wrapped in the Ultra Beast's translucent body. Her Pokémon, injected with Nihilego's neurotoxins, displayed uncharacteristic aggression, their eyes wild with manufactured rage. She called her own daughter ugly, discarding any pretense of maternal love in favor of possessive cruelty. The neurotoxins Nihilego produces don't just create physical changes, they attack the mind, amplifying existing emotions to dangerous extremes. For Lusamine, whose mind was already fracturing under the weight of her obsession, the toxins pushed her completely over the edge. The battle against Mother Beast Lusamine isn't just a fight against a powerful trainer, it's a mercy kill, an attempt to separate her from the parasite before it destroys what little remained of her sanity. In Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the narrative shifts significantly. Lusamine's motivations are rewritten. Instead of pure obsession with Ultra Beasts, she claims to want to protect Alola from Necrozma. This makes her less of a villain and more of an antagonist with misguided methods. However, her abusive treatment of her children remains. Her frozen Pokémon collection still exists, and her willingness to sacrifice Nebby and unleash Ultra Beasts on Alola persists. The core problem wasn't just her obsession with Ultra Beasts, it was her fundamental inability to see anyone or anything as more than possessions to be controlled. After her defeat, the Aether Foundation doesn't simply collapse. The employees, many of whom genuinely believed in the Foundation's stated mission, express horror at what had been happening. Wick, the assistant branch chief, reveals herself to be a voice of reason and compassion, helping the player in their mission to recapture the Ultra Beasts Lusamine had unleashed. In the original games, Gladion takes over as president while Lusamine travels to Kanto with Lily for treatment, hoping Bill's experience with Pokémon fusion might help remove the lingering effects of Nihilego's toxins. But here's what makes Lusamine's story truly tragic. In the post-game of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Professor Mohn visits Aether Paradise. He and Lusamine have a brief conversation about Pokémon conservation. She recognizes him instantly, seeing the husband she'd spent years trying to find. But he doesn't recognize her. He introduces himself as if meeting for the first time, oblivious to the family he'd once had. Faced with the reality that her husband has found happiness in his new life and would only suffer if forced to remember what he'd lost, Lusamine makes the painful choice to let him go. She doesn't tell him who he was or what they once had. The woman who couldn't let go, who froze Pokémon because she needed to control them, who nearly destroyed a region trying to hold on to what she'd lost, finally learns to release her grip. It's a bittersweet ending to a story about how grief, when left to fester without healing, can transform love into something monstrous. The Aether Foundation's research into Ultra Beasts wasn't limited to opening wormholes and studying the creatures themselves. They also embarked on an ambitious project to create a weapon capable of fighting these interdimensional threats. This project would produce one of the most unique and tragic Pokémon species ever created. Though calling what emerged a success would be generous at best. When the Aether Foundation confirmed the existence of Ultra Beasts, they faced a terrifying question. How do you fight creatures that barely register as Pokémon, that resist conventional capture methods, and that possess powers entirely alien to our understanding? The answer, they decided, was to fight fire with fire. If Ultra Beasts were impossibly powerful, they would create something equally impossible. The Beast Killer Project, abbreviated as BKP, was developed under Lusamine's direct authorization and considerable budget. The goal was ambitious to the point of hubris: create an anti-UB fighting lifeform that could adapt to any Ultra Beast threat regardless of type, size, or ability. To achieve this, researchers turned to mythology. In the Kanalov Library in the Sinnoh region, ancient texts describe a Pokémon with the power to shape reality itself, a being capable of changing its type at will through the use of special plates. This Pokémon is Arceus, often referred to as the creator of the Pokémon universe. The Aether Foundation decided to artificially recreate this godlike power, building a synthetic Pokémon that could theoretically adapt to any situation. The research was groundbreaking and ethically dubious in equal measure. Scientists gathered genetic material from all known Pokémon types, creating a chimeric organism that incorporated elements from across the entire spectrum of Pokémon biology. They called their creation Type Full, and they built a special system called the RKS system, a play on Arceus that would allow it to change types using specially designed memory items. 3 specimens were created, designated as serial numbers 01, 02, and 03. On paper, they were perfect, balanced base stats totaling 570 points. The ability to shift between all 18 types, a physical form designed to intimidate and overwhelm Ultra Beasts through sheer adaptability. They represented the pinnacle of artificial Pokémon engineering. In practice, they were disasters. All 3 type, full specimens rejected the RKS system during testing. The genetic incompatibilities caused by forcing so many different Pokémon types into a single organism created violent instability. They went berserk, attacking anything in sight, unable to control the conflicting biological imperatives warring within their artificial bodies. The Beast Killer Project had created 3 monsters that couldn't distinguish friend from foe, let alone serve as controlled weapons against Ultra Beasts. Faba's solution was characteristically cruel and pragmatic. Without informing Lusamine of the full extent of the failure, he designed heavy control helmets for each specimen. These masks didn't fix the underlying problems. They simply suppressed the symptoms, forcing the RKS system's rejection into a state of artificial calm. The helmets were extraordinarily heavy, hindering the Pokemon's natural agility and keeping them in a state of constant discomfort. The 3 type, full specimens were placed into cryogenic stasis and renamed Type Null. The name itself is telling. Null meaning nothing, empty, failed. They were meant to be weapons and instead became experiments sealed away in ice, their existence a shameful secret buried in the depths of Aether Paradise. But one of the type, Null specimens found an unlikely savior in Glutton, Lusamine's son. Glutton had witnessed the cruelty of the Aether Foundation firsthand, seeing how his mother and Faba treated Pokémon as tools and experiments, rather than living beings. When he fled the Foundation, he took Type Null with him, seeing in the artificial Pokémon a kindred spirit, something created to serve a purpose it never asked for, trapped by forces beyond its control. The relationship between Glutton and his type. Null is one of the more touching aspects of the Sun and Moon narrative. Here was a boy fleeing an abusive home, stealing a failed experiment because he saw something worth saving. He named the species Silvally, a combination of silver and ally, believing that despite its creation as a weapon, it could become a true partner. Type. Null's design reflects its chimeric nature. It has aspects of various creatures, avian features, mammalian builds, reptilian elements, all awkwardly combined into something that doesn't quite look like it should exist. The control helmet dominates its appearance, a brown mass with green markings that locks its jaws shut and obscures most of its head. Only small gray eyes peek out from rectangular black openings, giving it an eerie, almost emotionless appearance. The helmet weighs down Type Null considerably, dropping its speed stat and making every movement a struggle, but that's intentional. The helmet doesn't just suppress its violent tendencies, it also limits the power of the RKS system, preventing type changes that might destabilize the organism entirely. It's a prison disguised as protection, keeping Type Null from reaching its full potential, while simultaneously keeping it from destroying itself. When Type Null finally evolves into Silvally, the transformation is dramatic and deeply symbolic. The evolution doesn't happen through leveling or stones or trading. It happens through friendship, through the bond between trainer and Pokémon growing strong enough that Type Null trusts completely. At that moment, it destroys its own control mask, shattering the helmet through sheer force of will and the power of genuine connection. The revealed face beneath is both majestic and artificial. Silvally has bright silver eyes with no visible pupils, giving it an otherworldly appearance. Its head is covered by a thick silver mane that flows down its neck and chest. The mechanical aspects of its construction are visible. Circular metallic drives on each side of its head, bolt-like protrusions on its face. It looks simultaneously like a noble beast and a constructed machine, which is exactly what it is. With the helmet destroyed, Silvally can finally access the full power of the RKS system. When holding one of the memory items created by the Aether Foundation, fire memory, water memory, and so on, it changes type to match, its main and drive components shifting color to reflect its current form. This was what the Beast Killer project had envisioned, a Pokémon that could adapt its type mid-battle to counter any threat. But here's the beautiful irony of Silvally's story. It's a terrible beast killer. Its stats, while balanced, aren't exceptional enough to overpower Ultra Beasts. Its signature move, Multi-Attack, changes type based on the memory held, but has modest power. The RKS system is interesting but impractical compared to just using Pokémon with natural type advantages. As a weapon designed to hunt Ultra Beasts type, Null was a complete failure. As a Pokémon capable of forming genuine bonds and fighting alongside a trusted partner, however, Silvally is something remarkable. It represents the triumph of natural relationships over artificial engineering, the victory of trust over control. The Beast Killer project failed because it tried to create a weapon. Gladion succeeded because he offered friendship to something everyone else had written off as a failed experiment. Silvally has one particularly useful trait that hints at its intended purpose. It can sense the presence of Ultra Beasts and the opening of Ultra Wormholes. When an Ultra Beast is nearby, Silvally becomes restless and anxious, barking and acting agitated even through the control helmet. This early warning system makes it invaluable for detecting interdimensional breaches, though it does cause Silvally considerable stress. The creature that was supposed to hunt Ultra Beasts instead serves as an alarm system, warning of threats it was never actually capable of neutralizing. In the anime, we see more of Silvally's relationship with Gladion and its connection to Lily's fear of Pokémon. 4 years before the main story, a young Lily was attacked by an Ultra Beast. Type Null, still under Faba's control at the time, was unleashed to drive the beast away. It succeeded, but Lily only saw a terrifying creature with a fierce expression attacking something. The trauma of that moment, combined with type, Null's intimidating appearance, gave Lily a deep-seated fear of touching Pokémon that persisted for years. Type Null was later given its control helmet specifically because of how it had frightened Lily, adding another layer of tragedy to its imprisonment. When Silvally finally evolved and revealed itself to Lily years later, she recognized it as the creature that had saved her life. Seeing that the monster from her nightmares was actually a protector, and that it had been imprisoned partially because of her fear, helped Lily overcome her trauma and begin touching Pokémon again. The Beast Killer project produced 3 specimens. Gladion's Silvally is the only one confirmed to have achieved evolution. A second type, Null, is given to the player after becoming champion, allowing them to eventually experience Silvally's evolution firsthand. The fate of the third specimen remains ambiguous in the original Sun and Moon, though in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Wiki provides the player with this type, Null, and all of Silvally's memory drives. Research notes from Sword and Shield reveal that a 4th type, Null, was created in the Galar region using stolen Aether Foundation research, suggesting that the technology has leaked beyond Alola. This raises concerning questions about who else might attempt to weaponize artificial Pokémon, and whether they'll learn from the Aether Foundation's mistakes or repeat them. The Beast Killer project stands as a monument to hubris, the belief that humanity could engineer a solution to threats they barely understood. But it also produced something unexpected, a Pokémon species capable of genuine loyalty despite being created solely as a tool, a living being that could overcome its traumatic origins to form meaningful connections. In that sense, Perhaps the project wasn't complete failure after all. With the foundation laid for understanding both the dimensional pathways these creatures use and the desperate measures taken to combat them, we can finally turn our attention to the Ultra Beasts themselves. Let's start with the very first one discovered, the creature that would become the focus of Lusamine's obsession and nearly destroy the Alola region in the process. Codenamed UB-01, Nihilego earned the dubious honor of being the first Ultra Beast confirmed by human research. Professor Mohn's papers specifically documented this species before his disappearance, making Nihilego inextricably linked to the beginning of the Ultra Beast crisis. It's a rock poison type, an unusual combination that makes it resistant to both fire and normal attacks while being vulnerable to ground, water, psychic, and steel type moves. The first thing you notice about Nihilego is how unsettling it looks. It resembles a jellyfish, but not quite right. The bell-shaped body is translucent, almost glass-like, with white coloring that makes it appear both delicate and alien. Multiple tentacle-like appendages extend from its lower body, writhing with disturbing grace. Inside the bell, you can see what looks like a small star-shaped organism, blue or white depending on its coloration, which might be Nihilego's true body, while the jellyfish structure is merely a housing. Nihilego's design deliberately evokes both beauty and wrongness. It has a flower-like quality when viewed from certain angles, with petal-like structures around its bell. This aesthetic appeal becomes significant when you understand Nihilego's parasitic nature and its particular effect on Lusamine. The creature isn't just dangerous because of its combat abilities, it's dangerous because it's attractive, drawing in potential hosts with its elegant appearance before revealing its true horror. The species originates from Ultra Deep Sea, a dimension that was the first ultra space location ever visited in the original Sun and Moon. This world consists of deep blue rocks jutting from an impossible void, with massive stalks resembling trees reaching toward a sky that isn't quite a sky. The environment has an underwater quality despite not actually being submerged, with floating particles and a sense of pressure that suggests oceanic depths translated into dimensional terms. Lost Thunder TCG set artwork reveals that plant life, strange flowers unlike anything in our world, can actually grow in this environment, suggesting an ecosystem we barely glimpsed. Nihilego is described in Pokédex entries as a parasite that attaches to its host's head and controls them through neurotoxins. These toxins don't just provide physical control, they amplify the host's natural personality traits to dangerous extremes. Someone normally confident becomes megalomaniacal. Someone normally cautious becomes paranoid. Whatever you are, Nihilego makes you more of it, pushing every trait past healthy boundaries into territory that endangers both you and everyone around you. When Nihilego merges with Lusamine, the resulting Mother Beast form demonstrates the full horror of this parasitism. Lusamine's already obsessive nature becomes amplified to psychotic levels. Her possessiveness transforms into violent rejection of anything that challenges her control. The fusion gives her tremendous power. Her Pokémon receive stat boosts from the Beast Boost ability effect, making them far more dangerous than they would normally be. But it also cost her everything that made her human, reducing her to a creature of pure obsessive hunger. The fusion appears to change both parties. Lusamine's appearance takes on jellyfish-like qualities, her hair flowing as if suspended in water, her dress incorporating Nihilego's translucent aesthetic. Nihilego itself seems to reshape to accommodate her, its bell structure wrapping around her body like a dress or cocoon. It's unclear if Nihilego is consciously parasitizing Lusamine, or if this is simply its natural response to potential hosts. The Pokédex suggests that Nihilego might not even be fully aware of what it's doing, operating on instinct rather than malice. After the battle in Ultraspace, Solgaleo or Lunala forcibly separates Lusamine from Nihilego. The process leaves Lusamine in a coma, her body racked by the lingering neurotoxins. Wiki and Lily later theorized that Lusamine's condition could be caused by three things: the neurotoxins themselves, the overwhelming Zed power energy surrounding her during the fusion, or the trauma of being literally merged with an alien organism. Possibly all three factors contributed to her collapse. The fact that Lusamine survives it all is remarkable. Nihilego's neurotoxins are designed to control hosts, not keep them alive long term. In the post-game, it's revealed that Lily takes her mother to Kanto specifically to consult with Bill, the scientist who once accidentally merged himself with a Pokémon. If anyone understands the biological and psychological trauma of unwanted Pokémon fusion, it's Bill. The game never explicitly shows Lusamine's treatment, but by Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, she's recovered enough to resume her duties, suggesting Bill's expertise proved helpful. In battle, Nihilego is a special attacker with impressive special attack and special defense stats, though its physical defenses are notably weaker. When encountered, it benefits from an aura that raises its special defense by 2 stages, making it incredibly tanky against special attacks. This, combined with its Beast Boost ability, typically raising special attack after each knockout, creates a snowball effect where Nihilego becomes progressively harder to defeat the longer it remains in battle. Its move pool emphasizes status effects and power-ups. It can use Power Gem for rock-type stab damage, Venoshock for poison-type attacks that double in power if the target is poisoned, and Acid Spray to sharply lower opponents' special defense. Combined with Toxic to inflict worsening poison, Nihilego can become a terrifying stall fighter, slowly eroding opponents while boosting its own capabilities. Perhaps most interesting is how Nihilego's base stats reflect its nature. HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed all amount to 109, 53, 47, 127, 131, and 103 respectively. And yes, every single one is a prime number. The total, 570, is notable because this number, minus stat numbers divisible only by 1 in themselves, creates a pattern seen across all Ultra Beasts. This mathematical consistency suggests something fundamental about Ultra Beast biology or dimensional origin, a universal constant that governs their existence. The Pokédex entries for Nihilego paint a disturbing picture of its behavior in our world. It's described as flying through the air with beautiful dancing movements, appearing to enjoy displaying its body. This almost vain behavior, combined with its attractive appearance, makes it more dangerous. People and Pokémon are drawn to it, not recognizing the threat until it's too late. Other entries mention that it's unclear whether it's actually conscious or whether it simply responds to stimuli like a plant, raising unsettling questions about whether Nihilego is intelligent enough to be held accountable for its parasitism. In the anime, Nihilego appears multiple times, always as a harbinger of chaos. Its most significant appearance involves it dragging Guzma through an ultra wormhole, taking him to ultra deep sea. This demonstrates another aspect of Nihilego's danger. It's capable of transporting people between dimensions, whether they want to go or not. Whether it does this deliberately or whether people simply get caught in its wake when it returns home, remains unclear. Nihilego represents the first encounter with Ultra Beasts for most players, appearing from a wormhole created by Faba during the player's initial visit to Aether Paradise. This battle, while not allowing capture, establishes the immediate threat these creatures pose. Even with Lusamine and all of Aether Paradise's security, Nihilego cannot be contained. It attacks indiscriminately, treating everything as either a potential host or a threat to be eliminated. The species' common name, Nihilego, appears to combine nihil, Latin for nothing, with ego, Latin for I or self, possibly referencing how it erases the host's true self when parasitizing them. Alternatively, it could reference how encounters with Nihilego often leave victims remembering nothing of the experience, particularly if the neurotoxins cause memory damage alongside behavioral changes. In Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, players can visit Ultra Deep Sea through the Ultra Warp Ride, encountering infinite Nihilego in their natural habitat. This reveals something significant. Nihilego is common in its home dimension. The terrifying parasite that nearly destroyed the Aether Foundation is just regular wildlife in ultra space, as common as Tentacool is in our oceans. This reframes Nihilego from a unique monster to an invasive species, a creature that's only dangerous because it's been transported to an ecosystem where it doesn't belong. The ecological implications are staggering. If Nihilego is common in ultra deep sea, that implies an entire food chain built around parasitic organisms. What do Nihilego eat in their home dimension? What predators hunt them? How does an ecosystem function when the baseline organisms can parasitize each other? The game never answers these questions, leaving players to imagine a dimension where mind-controlling parasitism is simply the normal state of existence. The parasitic horror of Nihilego is just the beginning. The next pair of Ultra Beasts we need to examine represent perfect opposites in both form and function, demonstrating how ultra space produces diversity through impossible extremes, taking single concepts and pushing them to contradictory conclusions. UB02 exists in two forms, split between Pokémon Sun and Pokémon Moon as version exclusives. Both are bug fighting types, sharing the same type combination while representing polar opposite interpretations of those types. These are Buzzwole and Pheromosa, and they embody masculinity and femininity pushed to absurd extremes. Buzzwole, exclusive to Pokémon Sun, is codenamed UB02 Absorption. It's a bug fighting type that resembles a grotesquely muscular mosquito, standing 7 feet 11 inches tall and weighing 735 pounds. Every aspect of Buzzwole's design emphasizes raw physical power. Its body is built like a bodybuilder, with massive arms ending in what look like boxing gloves, a broad chest, and legs thick with muscle. The mosquito aspects are still present. It has a proboscis for a nose, antennae on its head, and wings on its back, but they're secondary to the overwhelming impression of pure strength. The name Buzzwole perfectly captures this dichotomy, combining buzz, the sound mosquitoes make, with swole, slang for extremely muscular. Its appearance is simultaneously impressive and ridiculous, a perfect example of how Ultra Beast designs deliberately push concepts past the point of comfort. Buzzwole doesn't just look strong, it looks obsessively focused, on strength to the exclusion of all else, like a mosquito that decided the only thing that mattered was gines. Pokédex entries describe Buzzwole as displaying its overwhelming power through dynamic poses. flexing its muscles in a constant show of dominance. This behavior isn't just intimidation. Buzzwole seems to genuinely enjoy demonstrating its strength, suggesting an ego-driven personality beneath the monstrous exterior. When it defeats opponents, it doesn't just win, it poses, flexes, and celebrates, turning every battle into a performance. The absorption aspect of its codename refers to how Buzzwole powers its muscles. Like a mosquito, it has a proboscis that can pierce targets and drain their fluids. But instead of just feeding, Buzzwole uses this energy to temporarily inflate its muscles to even more ridiculous proportions. This isn't sustainable growth. It's a temporary power boost achieved by literally absorbing an opponent's strength. The image of this already massive creature swelling even larger is equal parts terrifying and absurd. Buzzwole originates from Ultra Jungle, also called the Ultra Forest. This dimension consists of massive trees and dense foliage, creating a jungle environment where a predator like Buzzwole can thrive. The trees are alien in appearance, twisted and strange, but recognizable enough as vegetation to feel more familiar than some other ultra spaces. This environment suggests Buzzwole is an apex predator in its home dimension, hunting whatever other organisms exist in the ultra jungle's bizarre ecosystem. In battle, Buzzwole has absolutely ridiculous attack and defense stats, 139 and 139 respectively, both prime numbers, both among the highest in the game. Its special attack is terrible at 53, and its special defense is merely okay at 53 as well, but Buzzwole doesn't care. It wants to hit things physically and tank physical attacks, and it excels at both, with Beast Boost typically raising its attack even higher after each knockout. Buzzwole can sweep entire teams once it gets momentum. Its signature move is Dynamic Punch, a fighting type attack that always confuses if it hits, but has imperfect accuracy. The risk-reward of using a move that can either devastate opponents or completely miss embodies Buzzwole's high-risk, high-reward battling style. Other moves in its arsenal include Leech Life, which gains boosted power when used by Buzzwole and allows it to drain HP, and Hammer Arm, which lowers speed but deals massive fighting type damage. Now let's talk about Pheromosa UB02 Beauty, exclusive to Pokémon Moon. If Buzzwole represents masculine power taken to extremes, Pheromosa represents feminine grace weaponized. It's a bug fighting type based on a cockroach, specifically a feminine interpretation of a cockroach, standing 5 feet 11 inches tall, but weighing only 55 pounds. It's impossibly thin, almost skeletal, with elongated limbs that give it an otherworldly elegance. Everything about Pheromosa's design emphasizes speed, grace, and beauty. Its white coloring gives it a porcelain-like appearance, almost like a living statue. The cockroach aspects are present: the antennae, the segmented body, the 6 limbs, but rendered in such an aesthetically pleasing way that many players don't even realize they're looking at a roach-inspired design. The name Pheromosa combines pheromone, chemical signals used for communication and attraction, with hermosa, Spanish for beautiful. Pheromosa's Pokédex entries describe it as incredibly vain, refusing to touch anything it considers dirty or crude, which in its perspective is basically everything in our world. It views the entire Pokémon world as beneath its standards, treating battles almost as chores that must be completed to return home. Despite this attitude, it's still a fighting type, capable of dealing devastating attacks with quick, precise strikes. The cockroach inspiration becomes more significant when you understand what Pheromosa represents. Cockroaches are survivors, creatures that can adapt to almost any environment. But they're also considered pests, dirty creatures that infest homes. By making a beautiful cockroach, Game Freak created something that challenges our perceptions. Can something we instinctively find disgusting become attractive if rendered differently? Pheromosa asks that question and creates significant cognitive dissonance in the answer. Pheromosa originates from Ultra Desert, an endless expanse of white sand under an alien sky. The dimension appears nearly lifeless at first glance, just sand stretching to impossible horizons. But Pheromosa thrives here, suggesting hidden complexity beneath the surface. Perhaps the Ultra Desert holds resources invisible to human perception, or perhaps Pheromosa's speed allows it to traverse vast distances to find sustenance. In battle, Pheromosa is a glass cannon of terrifying proportions. Its attack and special attack stats are both 137, prime numbers, excellent values, while its defenses are abysmal. Defense sits at 37, special defense at 37, making it incredibly fragile. But none of that matters because Pheromosa's speed is 151, one of the highest speed stats in the entire game. Combined with Beast Boost, typically raising speed even higher after each knockout, Pheromosa can potentially sweep entire teams before opponents even get a turn. Its moveset emphasizes this blitz strategy. It learns fighting-type moves like high jump kick and low sweep, bug-type moves like lunge and bug buzz, and can even use ice beam to hit flying and dragon types that resist its stab moves. The strategy is simple: attack first, attack hard, and never let opponents hit back. If something does manage to strike Pheromosa, the battle is often over. Its defenses can't withstand much punishment. Players encounter 4 Pheromosa in Pokémon Moon compared to 2 Buzzwole in Pokémon Sun. This difference in numbers reflects their design philosophies. Buzzwole is powerful individually, while Pheromosa's strength comes from overwhelming opponents with speed and numbers. Catching multiple Pheromosa requires patience because their high speed and low weight make them incredibly difficult to hit with Pokeballs. The game actually gives Pheromosa and its counterpart Kartana the highest catch rate among Ultra Beasts specifically, because players need to catch multiple specimens. The contrast between Buzzwole and Pheromosa extends beyond just stats and appearance. They represent different survival strategies. Buzzwole is built to dominate through raw power, to face threats head-on and absorb whatever damage comes its way, while dealing even more back. Pheromosa survives through evasion and overwhelming offense, eliminating threats before they can respond. Both are version exclusive, both are bug fighting types, but they could not be more different in execution. These two Ultra Beasts demonstrate how alien ecosystems might develop parallel solutions to similar problems. Buzzwole's Ultra Jungle and Pheromosa's Ultra Desert are completely different environments, yet both produced bug-fighting type apex predators. This suggests that certain evolutionary pressures might be universal, transcending dimensional boundaries, creating convergent evolution on a cosmic scale. In the anime, both Buzzwole and Pheromosa appear as invasive threats, attacking Alola's inhabitants indiscriminately. Buzzwole appears in Melamele Island, where it causes havoc in Melamele Meadow. Its appearance prompts Kiawe and his grandfather to try containing it before the Ultra Guardians arrive. Pheromosa appears multiple times, often leaving destruction in its wake as it moves at supersonic speeds, treating everything as an obstacle to be eliminated or avoided. What's particularly interesting is how these ultra beasts reflect anxieties about body image and gender stereotypes. Buzzwole represents toxic masculinity taken to literal extremes, a creature so obsessed with displays of strength and dominance that it can barely function beyond violence and posturing. Pheromosa represents impossible beauty standards, a creature so thin and graceful it literally cannot exist by our world's physics, viewing everything as too crude or dirty to interact with. Whether this commentary was intentional or accidental, it adds layers to designs that could otherwise be dismissed as just weird-looking Pokémon. They make players uncomfortable not just because they look alien, but because they reflect distorted versions of human values pushed to harmful extremes. These aren't even the only opposing Ultra Beasts we'll encounter. Let's move forward to another trio that demonstrates how Ultra Space generates diversity through impossible contrasts. These aren't even the only opposing Ultra Beast demonstrating this principle of contradictory extremes. The pattern continues with 3 more species, each pushing different concepts to their absolute limits in ways that defy natural logic. UB-Do3 Lighting, better known as Xurkitree, represents yet another departure from anything we'd consider normal Pokémon design. This is a pure electric type Ultra Beast that resembles a collection of electrical cables twisted into a vaguely humanoid shape, or perhaps a bizarre tree made entirely of wiring. It stands 12 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds, with a body consisting of black cables wrapped around a copper-colored core. The design is both simple and deeply unsettling. Xurkitree's head is a star-like burst of cables with a single glowing point at the center, like an eye or light source. Its arms are long cables that split at the ends into finger-like projections, constantly writhing and moving as if conducting electricity. The legs are thick bundles of cable that connect to the ground, and when Xurkitree stands still, it genuinely resembles a bizarre alien tree or power line that somehow achieves sentience. The name Xurkitree is a play on circuitry, emphasizing its electrical nature, combined with tree for its overall appearance. Pokédex entries describe Xurkitree as a being that plants itself into the ground to absorb electricity, treating our world's power grid like a food source. It's been observed invading power plants, drawing massive amounts of electricity that causes blackouts across entire regions. The creature doesn't seem to understand or care about the chaos this causes. It's simply feeding according to its nature. What makes Xurkitree particularly dangerous is that it doesn't just passively absorb electricity. When it's gathered sufficient power, it discharges that energy in devastating electrical attacks. Witnesses describe seeing Xurkitree fire lightning bolts from its body that can illuminate the night sky, treating our atmosphere like a conductor for impossibly powerful electrical discharges. The amount of voltage it can generate exceeds anything natural to our world, making it a walking environmental disaster. Xurkitree originates from Ultra Plant, also called the Ultra Forest. This dimension is unlike anything in our reality, a landscape where massive structures resembling Xurkitree itself rise from the ground, reaching toward a sky that crackles with constant electrical discharge. The trees of this forest are living conduits, channeling electricity between the ground and whatever passes, for an atmosphere in this dimension. Lightning strikes constantly, creating a perpetual electrical storm that would be lethal to most life forms from our world. The ecosystem implications are staggering. If Xurkitree is common in Ultra Plant, that means this dimension has entire forests of electrical organisms. all feeding on and conducting power in an endless cycle. What kind of energy source sustains such an environment? Is the ground itself electrified? Do electromagnetic fields in this dimension function differently than in ours? The game provides no answers, leaving players to imagine a world where electrical discharge is as common as photosynthesis. In battle, Xurkitree is a special attacking monster with a special attack stat of 173, one of the highest in the entire game, and yes, a prime number. Its speed is also excellent at 83, though not as overwhelming as Pheromosa's. Where Xurkitree truly shines is in setup strategies. It can use moves like Tail Glow, which sharply raises special attack by 3 stages, transforming it from dangerous to apocalyptic in a single turn. Its move pool emphasizes overwhelming electrical power. Thunderbolt provides reliable electric type stab damage. Power Whip gives it a grass type option, useful against ground types that would normally wall it. Energy Ball provides another special grass type attack, and perhaps most dangerous, it can learn Electric Terrain, which boosts the power of electric type moves for all Pokémon on the field. But since Xurkitree is usually the only electric type present, this becomes a massive power boost that makes its already devastating attacks even more lethal. The Beast Boost ability typically raises Xurkitree's special attack after each knockout, creating a snowball effect where each victory makes the next one easier. Combined with its naturally high special attack and potential setup moves, Xurkitree can theoretically keep powering up until nothing can withstand its attacks. The only real defense is to eliminate it quickly before it gains momentum, preferably with a fast ground type that can hit its 71 defense before it gets a turn. Players encounter Xurkitree in Lush Jungle in Pokémon Sun and Moon, where it's drawn to the electrical activity in the area. The Ultra Guardians in the anime have to deal with multiple Xurkitree invasions, with the creatures treating Alola's power infrastructure like an all-you-can-eat buffet. The image of these cable tree creatures plugging into power lines and draining entire cities' worth of electricity emphasizes their threat level. They don't need to be actively malicious to cause catastrophic damage. Now let's discuss the version-exclusive pair that represents perhaps the most extreme contrast in Ultra Beast design, Celesteela and Kartana. UB04 Blaster, known as Celesteela, is exclusive to Pokémon Moon. It's a steel flying type that stands 30 feet 2 inches tall and weighs an absolutely staggering 204 pounds, making it the heaviest Ultra Beast and one of the heaviest Pokémon period. Celesteela resembles a bamboo rocket ship with a body made of what appears to be segmented metal or bamboo-like material, 2 massive arms that end in rocket nozzles, and a pointed head with a face that's barely recognizable as such. The design draws heavily from the Japanese folklore tale, The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, where a princess is discovered inside a bamboo stalk and eventually returns to the moon. Celesteela takes that concept and translates it into a massive rocket creature that uses its arm rockets to fly and can blast off into space if given sufficient fuel. The name combines celestial with steel, emphasizing both its metallic nature and its association with the heavens. Pokédex entries describe Celesteela as burning through gases in its body to achieve flight, with its arms acting as powerful propulsion systems. When it needs to launch, it can burn through forest fuel sources, absorbing organic material to convert into rocket fuel. This makes Celesteela an ecological nightmare. It's essentially a mobile deforestation machine that can consume entire forests to power a single flight. The most disturbing aspect of Celesteela is that it might not even be fully alive in a conventional sense. Some entries suggest it's been found buried underground for centuries, dormant before suddenly activating and launching skyward. This implies Celesteela might be able to enter a state of suspended animation for extended periods, waiting for conditions that trigger its reawakening. What those conditions are remains unknown, but the idea of massive rocket creatures buried beneath our feet, waiting to wake up, is deeply unsettling. Celesteela originates from Ultra Crater, a barren wasteland dimension covered in what appears to be impact craters and crystalline formations. The environment suggests a world that's been repeatedly bombarded by something: meteors, other Celesteela crashing back down, or perhaps deliberate attacks from unknown sources. The sky has an eerie quality, and the ground is littered with strange formations that might be the remains of previous Celesteela, or the result of their rocket propulsion scarring the landscape. In battle, Celesteela is a defensive tank with incredible stats across the board. HP sits at 97, attack at 101, defense at 103, special attack at 107, special defense at 101, and speed at a meager 61. All prime numbers, creating a balanced profile that makes Celesteela difficult to take down through any approach. Its typing gives it numerous resistances, and its massive HP pool means it can survive hits that would obliterate frailer Pokémon. What makes Celesteela particularly dangerous is its move pool and ability to run multiple strategies. It can use Leech Seed to drain opponents' HP each turn, combined with Protect to stall while the draining occurs. Heavy Slam, which deals more damage the heavier the user is compared to the target, becomes devastating when used by a 2,204-pound creature. Flamethrower provides coverage against steel and ice types that resist its stab moves. And it can even use Autotomize to sharply raise its speed by shedding weight, though this also makes Heavy Slam less effective. Now for the complete opposite, UB04 Blade, known as Kartana, exclusive to Pokemon Sun. This is a grass steel type that stands 1 foot tall and weighs 0.2 pounds, making it the lightest Ultra Beast and one of the lightest Pokemon ever recorded. Kartana resembles an origami samurai, with a body made of folded paper or blade-like material, giving it an impossibly sharp appearance despite its diminutive size. The contrast with Celesteela is deliberate and extreme. Where Celesteela is massive and slow, Kartana is tiny and fast. Where Celesteela weighs over a ton, Kartana weighs less than a can of soda. They're version exclusives representing opposite interpretations of the steel type. Celesteela as heavy plating and machinery, Kartana as razor-thin blades and cutting edges. Kartana's name combines katana, the Japanese sword, with potentially karta, paper in some languages, emphasizing both its blade-like nature and origami appearance. Pokédex entries describe Kartana as sharp enough to cut through anything, with its entire body being a collection of blade edges. Witnesses report seeing Kartana slice through thick steel beams like they're tissue paper, leaving perfectly smooth cuts that suggest molecular level separation. The origami inspiration gives Kartana an almost artistic quality despite its lethality. It resembles a papercraft project come to life, with folded sections creating distinct body parts, arms that end in sword-like appendages, a head with a pointed helmet design, and a lower body that looks like hakama pants worn by samurai. The design is deceptively simple, using basic geometric shapes to create something that reads as both cute and terrifying, depending on perspective. Kartana originates from Ultra Forest, also called the Ultra Jungle, the same as Buzzwole's origin, suggesting they might share dimensions or neighboring dimensional spaces. In this environment, Kartana's small size and incredible cutting power make it an apex predator. It can slice through vegetation to create paths, defend itself from larger predators by cutting them apart, and apparently feed by cutting organic material into pieces it can consume. The idea of a swarm of tiny paper samurai slicing through a jungle is equal parts whimsical and horrifying. In battle, Kartana has absolutely absurd attack and speed stats, 181 and 109 respectively, both prime numbers, both among the highest in the game. Its attack stat is particularly notable because 181 is the highest base attack stat of any Pokémon that isn't Mega Evolved or in some special form. Combined with Beast Boost, usually raising its already insane attack even higher, Kartana can potentially one-shot entire teams, if not immediately countered. The trade-off is Kartana's defenses. While its defense is actually decent at 131, paper armor only works when you're made of impossibly sharp paper apparently. Its special defense is terrible at 53. Fire-type special attacks in particular are devastating because Kartana is double weak to fire as a grass chai steel type. A single fire blast or flamethrower from a special attacker can instantly eliminate Kartana before it gets a chance to attack. This creates an interesting risk-reward dynamic. Kartana can potentially sweep entire teams unopposed, but a single fire-type special attacker can instantly end that sweep. Players need to carefully scout their opponent's team before committing Kartana, or use it strategically after fire types have been eliminated. This fragility, despite incredible power, makes Kartana feel like an actual blade, devastating when wielded correctly but easily shattered if struck wrong. Kartana's move pool emphasizes its blade-based combat style. Leaf Blade provides powerful grass-type stab with a high critical hit ratio. Smart Strike gives it a steel-type attack that never misses. Sacred Sword lets it cut through defensive boosts, ignoring stat changes when calculating damage. And perhaps most fitting, it learns Guillotine, a one-hit knockout move that instantly eliminates any target it hits, though with low accuracy that makes it unreliable. Players need to catch 4 Kartana in Pokémon Sun, just as they need to catch 4 Pheromosa in Pokémon Moon. The game recognizes that catching multiple of these version-exclusive Ultra Beasts is challenging, so it gives them the maximum catch rate of 255 once weakened. Even then, Kartana's low weight makes it difficult to catch because heavy balls that would normally help with captures are less effective against such a light target. The extreme opposites of Celesteela and Kartana demonstrate how Ultra Space generates diversity through impossible contrasts. One is a massive rocket that can barely move under its own weight on land. The other is a tiny blade that cuts through reality with ease. Both are steel types, both are powerful, but they represent completely different interpretations of what steel type can mean. This design philosophy, taking concepts to contradictory extremes, defines Ultra Beasts as a category. But if you want to see environmental destruction taken to its absolute limit, if you want to witness what happens when an invasive species has literally no natural predators and infinite hunger, we need to examine the final Ultra Beast from the original Sun and Moon lineup. A creature so fundamentally wrong that it represents the ultimate endpoint of unchecked consumption. UB05 Glutton. The codename tells you everything you need to know, but it somehow undersells the horror. Guzzlord is a dark dragon type ultra beast that stands 18 feet 1 inch tall and weighs 1,957 pounds. But those statistics don't capture what Guzzlord actually is. A walk-in black hole, an entity of pure consumption, an apocalypse-given form, and the ability to eat entire worlds. The first time you see Guzzlord, your brain struggles to process what you're looking at. It's a massive, primarily black creature with blue accents and white claws. But the defining feature, the part that makes Guzzlord genuinely disturbing, is its mouth. Or rather, its mouths. The creature's torso is dominated by an absolutely gigantic mouth with yellow fangs, and on top of that is a smaller head with another mouth. And the entire entity seems to be structured around the concept of things that consume. The design draws inspiration from various sources. The name Guzzlord combines guzzle, to drink or eat greedily, with lord, suggesting royalty of gluttony. Some fans see similarities to Kirby, another character defined by bottomless hunger, though Guzzlord takes that concept to horrific extremes. The two-mouth design might reference the concept of hungry ghosts from Buddhist mythology, spirits cursed with insatiable hunger that can never be satisfied. What truly makes Guzzlord terrifying isn't its appearance, but its behavior. Pokédex entries describe it as capable of eating anything and everything. People, Pokémon, objects, buildings, the ground itself, rivers, even oceans. It consumes constantly, endlessly, with no apparent limit to its capacity or appetite. And here's the most disturbing detail: it produces no waste. Everything Guzzlord eats is converted entirely into energy to sustain its metabolism, meaning it can eat literally forever without consequence. The ecological implications are nightmarish. An invasive species is problematic because it disrupts existing ecosystems. Guzzlord doesn't disrupt ecosystems, it eliminates them entirely. If a Guzzlord enters an environment with no natural predators, which is every environment because nothing in our world can stop it, it will simply eat everything until nothing remains. Not even bacteria would survive because Guzzlord would consume the very ground they need to live on. Guzzlord originates from Ultra Ruin, and this dimension tells us everything we need to know about what happens when Guzzlord is allowed to feed unchecked. Ultra Ruin is an alternate version of Alola, specifically a destroyed version of Howoli City and its surroundings. The buildings are collapsed, the landscape is devastated, strange energy readings permeate everything, and the sky has an apocalyptic quality that suggests catastrophic environmental collapse. This isn't just a dimension that looks similar to Alola. Evidence strongly suggests this is literally an alternate timeline Alola, a reality where something went differently and Guzzlord was never stopped. Scrambled text visible in the ruins references locations and people from the main timeline. Posters advertise events that happened in normal Alola. The music that plays in Ultra Ruin, when played in reverse, is a distorted version of Howoli City's theme, creating a haunting echo of what this world once was. The anime expands on this concept in the episodes Battling the Beast Within and Parallel Friendships. In this version, the Ultra Ruin is explicitly shown to be an alternate Alola, where Guzzlord arrived and was never captured. Over time, it ate everything, all the people, all the Pokémon, all the buildings, all the resources. The only survivor is Dia, an alternate version of the character from the main timeline, who survived alongside a Zeraora by constantly fighting and running from Guzzlord. The image of a lone human and Pokémon desperately fighting to survive in a world that's been completely consumed is genuinely haunting. Dia doesn't even have hope of defeating Guzzlord. The best he can do is push it back into an ultra wormhole temporarily before it inevitably returns to continue eating what little remains. This is the fate of any world where Guzzlord becomes established. Complete and total consumption followed by a dead, empty husk where a thriving reality once existed. In battle, Guzzlord is oddly defensive despite its horrifying lore. It has a massive HP stat of 223, the highest base HP of any Pokémon that isn't specifically designed around HP like Blissey. This represents Guzzlord's ability to absorb damage through sheer bulk, its body designed to withstand whatever resistance its food might put up. Its attack and special attack are both decent at 101 and 97 respectively, allowing it to use either physical or special attacks effectively. However, Guzzlord has multiple significant weaknesses. As a dark dragon type, it's 4 times weak to fairy type attacks, meaning a single powerful fairy move can potentially one-shot it despite its massive HP pool. It's also weak to fighting, bug, ice, and dragon type attacks, giving it numerous vulnerabilities. And perhaps most importantly, its speed is terrible at 43, meaning almost everything will attack before it does. This creates an interesting dynamic where Guzzlord is simultaneously terrifying and manageable. In lore, it's an apocalyptic threat that can consume worlds. In competitive battle, it's a slow, bulky attacker with significant type weaknesses that can be countered fairly easily. This disconnect between narrative threat and gameplay implementation is common in Pokémon, but it's particularly notable with Guzzlord because the lore describes it as basically unstoppable, while the stats suggest it's one of the easier Ultra Beasts to deal with. Guzzlord's move pool emphasizes its consumption theme. It learns Crunch, Bite, and Stomping Tantrum naturally, all moves that involve using its mouth or bulk to attack. It can learn Dragon Claw and Heavy Slam for more powerful options, and it has access to Gastro Acid, which eliminates opponents' abilities, fitting for something that digests everything it touches. Perhaps most interesting is that Guzzlord can learn both Dragon Tail and Draco Meteor, giving it options for both forcing switches and dealing massive special damage at the cost of lowering its own special attack. The latter is particularly useful because even after Draco Meteor lowers special attack, Guzzlord's Beast Boost can raise attack instead, allowing it to switch between offensive approaches mid-battle. Players encounter only one Guzzlord in Pokémon Sun and Moon, found in Resolution Cave on Pony Island. It's the final Ultra Beast players need to catch to complete the UB Task Force missions, creating a climactic encounter with the most dangerous species. The battle takes place deep in a cave, with Guzzlord seemingly trapped there, but still threatening to break free and begin consuming Alola if not captured. The anime handles Guzzlord as a recurring threat that appears multiple times throughout the Alola saga. In one particularly memorable sequence, a Guzzlord appears in the middle of the Manalo Conference Award ceremony, interrupting Ash's moment of victory to create immediate danger. The creature is treated as an existential threat every time it appears, with entire episodes dedicated to pushing it back into ultra wormholes before it can cause catastrophic damage. What makes Guzzlord's existence philosophically troubling is that it doesn't seem evil, it's hungry. That's all. It eats because eating is what it does, the same way we breathe because breathing is what we do. Guzzlord isn't malicious, it's just being Guzzlord, following its nature as a creature of infinite consumption The horror comes from the realization that sometimes nature produces things that are fundamentally incompatible with continued existence, organisms whose very presence is catastrophic through no fault of their own. Ultra Ruin serves as a warning about what happens when we fail to contain invasive species, when we let something dangerous establish itself in an ecosystem where it has no natural predators. But it also represents something more existential, the fear that our world could end not through deliberate destruction, but through simple, mindless consumption by something that doesn't even understand the concept of enough. But Guzzlord wasn't working alone in the crisis that befell Alola. To understand the full scope of the Ultra Beast situation, we need to shift our focus from the creatures themselves to something equally fascinating. Beings from another dimension who came to Alola not as invaders, but as desperate allies seeking help to stop a different interdimensional threat. In Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the narrative shifts significantly from the original games. Lusamine's role changes from obsessed antagonist to misguided protector. But more importantly, we meet beings from another dimension who came to Alola seeking help. These are the Ultra Recon Squad, and their story reveals perhaps the most tragic dimension in all of Ultra Space. The Ultra Recon Squad consists of 4 members split between the game versions. In Ultra Sun, players primarily interact with Dulce and Zacian. In Ultra Moon, it's Fico and Soliera. All 4 are named after species of seagrass, Dulce after Palmaria palmata, Zacian after Zostera, Fico after Phycocyanin, and Soliera after Soliera. This naming convention suggests a connection to oceanic or aquatic environments, though their actual home bears no resemblance to anything marine. The first thing you notice about the Ultra Recon Squad members is their appearance. They have pale, almost luminescent skin with a slight blue tint. Their hair and eye colors are unusual, bright, vivid shades that don't occur naturally in humans from our world. They wear matching uniforms with advanced technology integrated directly into the suits, including communication devices and what appear to be environmental monitors. When they first appear, they wear masks, though they remove these after establishing trust with the player. Their physical appearance isn't aesthetic choice, it's adaptation. The Ultra Recon Squad comes from Ultra Megalopolis, a dimension that exists in perpetual darkness. For countless generations, their ancestors lived without natural light, causing their biology to adapt in ways that make them visibly distinct from humans in our world. The pale skin might be due to lack of UV exposure over evolutionary timescales. The bright eye and hair colors could be adaptations for seeing in darkness. Their entire physiognomy represents what humanity might become if forced to survive without light for thousands of years. Ultra Megalopolis itself is one of the most visually striking locations in any Pokémon game. It's a vast city of towering black structures shaped like prisms, all made from reflective material. The buildings rise impossibly high, creating a dense urban environment that dwarfs anything in our world. But despite this impressive architecture, the city exists in near complete darkness, illuminated only by the artificial light emanating from Megalo Tower at its center. Megalo Tower dominates the skyline, a massive structure that serves 3 purposes. First, it's a power generator, producing artificial light to replace the natural light that was stolen from this dimension. Second, it's a light distribution system, using the reflective surfaces of the surrounding buildings to spread illumination throughout the city. Third, it's a prison, containing the creature responsible for stealing the light in the first place, Necrozma. the history of Ultra Megalopolis is tragic. Long ago, their world basked in the light of Ultra Necrozma, the original form of Necrozma before it was damaged. Ultra Necrozma shared its light freely, allowing life to flourish across multiple dimensions. The ancestors of the Ultra Recon squad lived in this radiance, building an advanced civilization under Necrozma's glow. But the ancestors grew greedy. They didn't just want to receive Necrozma's light, they wanted to control it, to harness its power for their own purposes. They attempted to capture Necrozma, to force it to provide light on demand, rather than allowing it to share freely. This attempt failed catastrophically. Necrozma was injured in the confrontation, its body damaged so severely that it lost the ability to produce light naturally. The pain and trauma of its injuries transformed Necrozma into something else, a violent, light-hungry creature in constant agony, desperately seeking the light it could no longer generate. In its suffering, Necrozma consumed all light in Ultra Megalopolis, stealing the very thing it once provided, plunging the entire dimension into darkness. The once thriving civilization was forced to adapt to permanent night, building artificial light sources just to survive. The ancestors managed to capture the damaged Necrozma and imprisoned it in what would become Megalo Tower. But this wasn't a solution, it was just containment. Necrozma remains in constant pain, its body a broken crystalline shell trying desperately to heal, but unable to regenerate the light it lost. The tower keeps it from escaping to steal light from other dimensions, but at the cost of keeping it trapped in agony, which only perpetuates its violent, light-hungry state. The Ultra Recon squad doesn't see Necrozma as a monster to be destroyed. They see it as a tragic victim of their ancestors' hubris, a being that should have been respected but was instead damaged beyond repair. Their mission isn't to kill Necrozma, it's to find a way to restore its light, to heal the damage their ancestors caused, and return both Necrozma and their world to their original states. This is why they came to Alola. Research indicated that Necrozma might attempt to steal light from other dimensions, and Alola's abundance of Z-Power energy, which, as we now understand, originated from Necrozma's original light bleeding through Ultra Wormholes, made it a likely target. The Ultra Recon squad hoped to work with the Aether Foundation to develop a way to stop Necrozma non-lethally, to restrain it long enough to find a cure for its condition. Their relationship with the Aether Foundation is complex. They provide information about Ultra Beasts and Ultra Space, helping Lusamine understand the threats facing Alola. In return, the Foundation offers technology and research capabilities the Ultra Recon squad lacks, but there's an underlying tension. The squad wants to save Necrozma, while Lusamine's methods become increasingly reckless, prioritizing protection of Alola over the well-being of the creature stealing its light. Throughout Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, players encounter the Ultra Recon squad multiple times. Each encounter reveals more about their culture and their desperate situation. They're fascinated by Alola's natural light, having never experienced sunlight themselves. Simple things like plants growing naturally under the sun amaze them. They struggle to understand some cultural concepts because their world developed differently. For instance, the idea of Pokémon ownership doesn't exist in Ultra Megalopolis. They share Pokémon communally, using their powers collectively rather than forming individual partnerships. The squad travels with Poipole, an Ultra Beast native to Ultra Megalopolis that they use in battle. But they don't own these Poipole in the traditional sense. They're companions that choose to work with the squad, similar to how Solgaleo and Lunala help them travel between dimensions. This cultural difference in human Pokémon relationships reveals how different circumstances can shape entirely different approaches to coexistence. One particularly significant encounter occurs at Aether Paradise, where the Ultra Recon squad challenges the player to prevent them from interfering with Lusamine's plan. They believe Lusamine's approach, using Nebi to reach Necrozma directly, is the best option for stopping the creature before it reaches Alola. They're wrong, but their motivations come from desperation rather than malice. They've lived their entire lives in darkness, and they're willing to support questionable methods if those methods might finally bring light back to their world. The confrontation with Necrozma forms the climax of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. When Lusamine and Guzma attempt to capture Necrozma and Ultra Megalopolis, they fail. Necrozma not only escapes, but follows them back to Alola, seeking the abundant Z-Power energy present in the region. At the altar of the Sun or Moon, Necrozma battles Nebi, now evolved into Solgaleo or Lunala, and wins, absorbing the legendary Pokémon to become Duskmane Necrozma, or Dawn Wings Necrozma, depending on version. After defeating the player once, Necrozma opens multiple Ultra Wormholes across Alola, unleashing Ultra Beasts as a side effect of its dimensional manipulation. It then flees to Ultra Megalopolis, taking Alola's light with it, just as it once took Ultra Megalopolis's light. The region plunges into darkness, and the Ultra Recon squad watches in horror as their worst fears are realized. Necrozma is doing to Alola exactly what it did to their home, but they don't abandon Alola to the same fate they suffered. Instead, Dulce or Soliera, depending on version, offers the player their Lunala or Solgaleo, allowing them to pursue Necrozma into Ultra Space using a technique called Ultra Warp Ride. This act of trust, giving a stranger from another dimension access to one of their most precious resources, demonstrates the Ultra Recon Squad's genuine desire to help, rather than simply using Alola for their own purposes. Ultra Warp Ride is a fascinating mechanic that allows players to traverse Ultra Space itself, navigating through crystalline tunnels and choosing which dimensional portals to enter. Different colored wormholes lead to different destinations. White wormholes specifically lead to Ultra Beast dimensions. This gives players the ability to visit each Ultra Beast's homeworld, seeing the environments that shape these creatures, and understanding them as wildlife rather than just monsters. When the player reaches Ultra Megalopolis, the other members of the Ultra Recon squad greet them and explain the situation. Necrozma has gone to the top of Megalo Tower and used the stolen light from Nebi and Alola to perform Ultra Burst, transforming into its original form, Ultra Necrozma. The creature now blazes with light so intense it's painful to witness, having temporarily regained the power it once possessed. The battle against Ultra Necrozma is one of the most difficult in any Pokémon game. The creature has incredible stats across the board, boosted even further by an aura that raises all stats by one stage at the start of battle. Its ability, Neuroforce, makes super effective attacks even stronger, meaning anything that can hit it for good damage will likely one-shot whatever attacked. Its signature move, Photon Geyser, is a psychic type attack that uses either attack or special attack, whichever is higher, to deal damage, making it impossible to wall defensively. The player must defeat Ultra Necrozma to save both Alola and Ultra Megalopolis. When they succeed, Necrozma separates from Nebi and falls back to Alola, landing on Mount Lanakila in a weakened state. Light returns to both dimensions, ending the immediate crisis. The Ultra Recon Squad, grateful beyond measure, offers the player one of their Poipole as thanks, a significant gift, as Poipole is both a companion species from their home and a living symbol of Ultra Megalopolis itself. After the main story, the Ultra Recon Squad remains in Alola, continuing to work with the Aether Foundation to research Ultra Space and help with any remaining Ultra Beast incidents. They can be found at the Lake of the Soon or Lake of the Moon, studying the dimensional energies present there and trying to understand the connection between Alola and Ultra Space. Their presence raises fascinating questions about dimensional politics and cooperation. If the Ultra Recon Squad can come to Alola, can people from Alola go to Ultra Megalopolis? Could there be trade, cultural exchange, tourism between dimensions? The games don't explore these possibilities deeply, but they plant seeds for a future where interdimensional travel might become normalized, where Ultra Space isn't just a source of danger, but an opportunity for expanding humanity's horizons beyond a single reality. The squad's story is ultimately one of hope amid despair. They came from a world that lost its light because of their ancestors' mistakes, seeking not revenge, but healing. They could have blamed Alola for having the light they lacked, could have helped Necrozma steal it out of jealousy. Instead, they chose cooperation, offering assistance even when it cost them. Their pale faces and adapted biology serve as constant reminders of what was lost, but their actions demonstrate that loss doesn't have to define a civilization's character. But to truly understand the Ultra Recon Squad's situation, we need to examine the creature at the center of this multi-dimensional tragedy. The being that was once called the Blinding One, worshipped as a source of life and light, and is now known only by its pain and the devastation it causes while seeking relief. Necrozma occupies a unique position in Pokémon lore. It's thematically related to Ultra Beasts, shares many of their characteristics, and is often referred to as being similar to an Ultra Beast, but it's not officially classified as one, at least not consistently. The ambiguity is intentional, reflecting Necrozma's nature as something that exists outside normal categories, something that transcends simple classification. In its base form, Necrozma is a pure psychic type that stands 7 feet 10 inches tall and weighs 507 pounds. But these statistics barely capture what you're looking at. Necrozma appears to be made entirely of black crystalline material, with a body composed of angular, prism-like structures that suggest it's either a geometric organism or a living mineral. Its form is vaguely humanoid but distinctly alien, with a large head, thin arms, and a body that constantly reflects and refracts light in unnatural ways. The black coloring is significant. This isn't Necrozma's natural state. It's what Necrozma became after being damaged. Ancient Alolan texts and Ultra Megalopolis records both describe Necrozma's original form as radiant, blazing with light so intense it illuminated multiple dimensions. The creature was worshipped as the Blinding One by the Ultra Recon Squad's ancestors and appears in Alolan mythology as a being that once blessed the region with light. But when Ultra Megalopolis' ancestors attempted to control Necrozma, the confrontation shattered something fundamental. Necrozma's body was damaged, its ability to produce light naturally was lost, and the constant pain from its injuries transformed it into a violent creature, desperately seeking the light it can no longer generate internally. The black coloring represents impurities crystallizing within its body. Due to lack of light, essentially toxic buildup that causes constant agony. Necrozma's behavior in this damaged state is tragic rather than evil. It attacks anyone who comes near because it's in constant pain and perceives everything as either a source of light to be consumed or a threat to be eliminated. It hoards Z crystals and seeks out sources of Z power energy because that energy contains traces of its original light, offering temporary relief from suffering. But no amount of external light actually heals the damage. It just provides brief respite before the pain returns, driving Necrozma to seek more. In Pokémon Sun and Moon, Necrozma appears as a mysterious bonus encounter after completing the Ultra Beast missions. Looker describes seeing something black that refracts light, something that might be an Ultra Beast, appearing at 10 Carat Hill. When the player investigates, they find Necrozma and can attempt to capture it. The creature appears similar to Ultra Beast but doesn't have a UB code name, exists outside the main Ultra Beast crisis, and remains largely mysterious. The original games hint at Necrozma's significance but don't explore it fully. Pokédex entries describe it as reminiscent of Ultra Beasts, suggest it may have come from another dimension, and note that light is apparently the source of its energy. But the full story, the tragedy of what Necrozma once was and what it became, only emerges in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. In these games, Necrozma becomes the primary antagonist, replacing Lusamine's role as the main threat. The game's climax involves Necrozma absorbing Nebby, after Nebby has evolved in Solgaleo or Lunala to create a fusion form. In Ultra Sun, this creates Duskmane Necrozma, a fusion where Necrozma forms around Solgaleo's body, using the Sun Pokémon as a vehicle and power source. In Ultra Moon, it's Dawnwing's Necrozma, with Necrozma wrapping around Lunala's body to use the Moon Pokémon similarly. These fusion forms represent Necrozma attempting to reclaim the power to produce light by parasitizing Pokémon that naturally generate or manipulate light. But the fusion isn't consensual. Necrozma forcibly absorbs Solgaleo or Lunala, overriding their consciousness to use their bodies as tools. The legendary Pokémon aren't willing partners, they're victims, trapped within Necrozma's crystalline structure and forced to provide the light Necrozma can no longer generate alone. Duskmane Necrozma is a psychic steel type that emphasizes physical power with massive attack and defense stats. Its ability, Prism Armor, reduces the damage taken from super effective attacks, making it difficult to counter despite its steel typing, creating multiple weaknesses. The design shows Necrozma's black crystalline structure merged with Solgaleo's white mane and golden accents, creating a creature that looks powerful but wrong, like two beings forcibly combined against their natures. Dawnwings. Necrozma is a psychic ghost type focused on special attacks, with high special attack and special defense. It shares Prism Armor as its ability, providing the same damage reduction. The design incorporates Lunala's wing structure and skeletal appearance into Necrozma's crystalline form, creating something that looks like a corrupted version of the Moon Pokémon. Darkness overwhelming what should be elegant shadow. Both fusion forms are incredibly powerful, but they're not true healing. They're temporary measures, parasitizing another being's light-producing capabilities rather than restoring Necrozma's own ability. After the player defeats Duskmane or Dawnwing's Necrozma at the altar, the creature doesn't give up. Instead, it opens multiple Ultra Wormholes across Alola and flees to Ultra Megalopolis, still fused with Nebby. seeking enough light to achieve something more. At the top of Megalo Tower, with light stolen from both Alola and Nebby's legendary power, Necrozma achieves Ultra Burst, a transformation that reveals its original form. Ultra Necrozma is Psychic Char Dragon type, standing 7 feet 10 inches tall like its base form, but now blazing with such intense light that it's genuinely difficult to look at on screen. The design is radiant, with a crystalline dragon-like body glowing brilliant white and gold, wings of pure light extending from its back, and an overall appearance that suggests a divine being or living star. This is what Necrozma once was, a creature of pure radiant light capable of illuminating entire dimensions. The transformation is beautiful and terrible simultaneously, showing both what was lost and why Ultra Megalopolis' ancestors coveted this power. Who wouldn't want to control a being capable of providing infinite light? But Ultra Burst isn't sustainable. Necrozma can only maintain this form temporarily by consuming massive amounts of light energy. As soon as that energy is depleted, for instance, by the player defeating it in battle, Necrozma reverts to its damaged state. The original form is restored only momentarily, not permanently, meaning all of Necrozma's efforts, all of its violence and light stealing, amount to brief glimpses of what it used to be before the pain returns. Ultra Necrozma as a battle is genuinely challenging. It has 167 in HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed, every stat at exactly 167, all prime numbers, creating perfectly balanced stats at an extremely high level. Its ability, Neuroforce, makes super effective attacks deal even more damage than normal, combined with an aura that raises all stats by 1 stage at the start of battle. Ultra Necrozma is one of the most difficult non-legendary battles in the series. Its signature move in this form is Photon Geyser, a psychic type attack with 100 base power that ignores abilities and uses either attack or special attack depending on which is higher. This makes it impossible to wall with abilities like Sturdy, or to predict whether physical or special defense matters more. Other moves include Dragon Pulse for stab dragon type coverage, Power Gem to hit bug and fire types that resist its stab moves, and Smart Strike to deal with ice and fairy types. Defeating Ultra Necrozma doesn't kill it, it simply exhausts the light energy sustaining its transformation. Necrozma separates from Nebby and falls back to Alola, crashing into Mount Lanakila in a weakened state. When the player climbs the mountain and finds it, Necrozma isn't hostile, it's simply in pain, lying in a crater, seeking whatever scraps of light it can find. The player can choose to capture it at this point, with a higher catch rate than usual, reflecting its exhausted condition. Professor Kukwai theorizes that the Z crystals scattered across Alola might actually be fragments of Necrozma's original body, pieces that broke off when it was damaged and fell through ultra wormholes into the Alola region. This would explain why Z power feels similar to the auras surrounding both Ultra Beasts and Totem Pokémon. It's all energy originating from Necrozma, leaked across dimensions through ultra wormholes opened by its original light. If this theory is correct, then every Z move ever performed draws on power that once belonged to Necrozma. The incredible attacks that trainers unleash are fueled by fragments of a shattered god, pieces of a being that was dismembered and scattered across reality. This reframes Z power from a mysterious natural phenomenon to something almost vampiric, trainers using pieces of a suffering creature's body to gain power. After capturing Necrozma, players receive the N-Solarizer or N-Lunarizer from Colress, items that allow Necrozma to fuse with Solgaleo or Lunala in the player's team. This creates the interesting dynamic where what was once a forced parasitic relationship can become consensual partnership. If the player's Solgaleo or Lunala agrees to fuse with Necrozma, supporting it by providing light, the fusion becomes something different. Not a victim being parasitized, but an ally offering help. Whether Necrozma can truly be healed remains ambiguous. Lily suggests in the post-game that perhaps Necrozma and Nebby could work together, with Nebby providing light to alleviate Necrozma's suffering. The fact that Necrozma doesn't immediately attack when encountered weakly on Mount Lanakila suggests it's capable of reason and might respond to kindness rather than just pain. Necrozma represents a fundamentally tragic figure in Pokémon lore. It's not evil, it's broken. Its violence stems from constant agony and desperate need, not malice. The creature that once freely shared light with multiple dimensions was transformed into something that steals light because it's the only way to temporarily escape pain. Everything about Necrozma's story asks whether punishment is appropriate for something that was damaged against its will and acts according to instinct rather than choice. The ambiguity about whether Necrozma is an Ultra Beast reflects this complexity. It came from another dimension like Ultra Beasts do. It causes the same disruption when appearing in Alola, but it's also fundamentally different. Ultra Beasts are species that exist naturally in their dimensions, while Necrozma is an individual being with unique history and significance. Calling it an Ultra Beast reduces it to just another invasive species, but calling it something else fails to capture how it functions similarly in practice. Perhaps the best answer is that Necrozma transcends categories, existing as something unique that shares characteristics with multiple classifications without fitting neatly into any single one. It's a living tragedy, a testament to the permanent consequences of hubris, and a reminder that some damage cannot be undone no matter how much we wish it could be. Yet the catalog of interdimensional life continues to expand. The story doesn't end with the original 7 Ultra Beasts, or even with Necrozma. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon introduced 4 additional species, each bringing new dimensions to the invasion, new threats to Alola, and new questions about what might exist in the infinite expanse of Ultra Space. Unlike the previous Ultra Beasts discovered in Alola, these 4 have unique circumstances surrounding their introduction. 2 are version exclusive, appearing only in the post-game. 1 is given to the player as a gift, and 1 can actually evolve, breaking the pattern established by all previous Ultra Beasts. Let's start with the gift, Poipole, known in some classifications as UB adhesive. This is a poison-type Ultra Beast that stands 2 feet tall and weighs 4 pounds. Poipole resembles a cross between a poison dart frog and a syringe, with a purple body, large head with needle-like protrusion, and an overall appearance that manages to be both cute and vaguely unsettling. The design emphasizes Poipole's toxic nature while maintaining an almost childlike quality. It has large, expressive eyes that make it seem innocent despite being filled with venom. The needle on its head isn't just decorative. Pokédex entries describe Poipole as storing poison in this needle and using it to both attack enemies and mark territory. Everything it touches gets covered in poison, creating zones that other creatures learn to avoid. What makes Poipole special is its role in Ultra Megalopolis. Unlike other Ultra Beasts, which are invasive threats in Alola, Poipole is native to Ultra Megalopolis and serves as the region's starter Pokémon, the first partner given to young residents beginning their Pokémon journeys. This reveals something significant. Ultra Megalopolis has its own Pokémon training culture, adapted to their unique circumstances and available species. The fact that Poipole can be trusted with children tells us it's not inherently dangerous despite its toxic nature. Like many poison-type Pokémon in our world, Poipole's venom is a defense mechanism rather than an offensive weapon, used to mark territory and ward off threats rather than actively hunt prey. In Ultra Megalopolis, where darkness is constant, Poipole's glowing venom markings probably serve additional purpose, creating visible markers in an environment where visual navigation is challenging. After the player defeats Ultra Necrozma and helps restore light to both Alola and Ultra Megalopolis, the Ultra Recon squad offers the player one of their Poipole as thanks. This is a significant gesture because they're giving away what amounts to a cultural icon. Imagine being given a Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle by Professor Oak as thanks for saving Kanto. The Poipole they offer shows interest in the player specifically, suggesting it chooses to join rather than being forced. Poipole's base stats are unusual for an Ultra Beast. Its total only reaches 420 rather than the standard 570. And while all individual stats are prime numbers, 67 HP, 73 attack, 67 defense, 73 special attack, 67 special defense, 73 speed, they're much lower than other Ultra Beasts. This reflects Poipole's nature as a pre-evolution, something not fully developed yet. Because yes, Poipole can evolve. It's the only Ultra Beast capable of evolution, breaking a fundamental pattern established by all previous specimens. When Poipole learns Dragon Pulse through a move reminder and then levels up, it evolves into Naganadel, known as UB Stinger. This transformation reveals Poipole's true potential and its adaptation to Alola's environment. Naganadel is a poison dragon type that stands 11 feet 10 inches tall and weighs 330 pounds. The evolution completely changes Poipole's body structure, transforming the cute tadpole-like creature into a massive dragon-wasp hybrid. It gains a sleek aerodynamic body built for speed, massive wings that allow for incredible aerial maneuvers, and an elongated needle tail filled with highly concentrated venom. The design emphasizes predatory capability while maintaining Poipole's core aesthetic. The purple coloring remains, but now distributed across a body designed for hunting. The face becomes more aggressive, the stance more threatening. Where Poipole looks like a starter Pokémon that needs protection, Naganadel looks like an apex predator that offers no mercy. Pokédex entries describe Naganadel as possessing an incredibly sharp stinger that it uses to pierce targets and inject massive quantities of neurotoxin. Unlike Poipole's territorial marking venom, Naganadel's toxin is weaponized for hunting, designed to paralyze and kill prey quickly. It's said to fly through the air at tremendous speeds, attacking before targets even realize they're being hunted. Naganadel's base stats reflect its fully realized potential. It has 73 HP, 73 attack, 73 defense, 127 special attack, 73 special defense, and 121 speed, totaling 540. All individual stats are prime numbers except speed, but 121 is interesting because it's 11 squared, and there are 11 Ultra Beasts total. This mathematical relationship might be coincidence, or could suggest something deeper about Naganadel's connection to Ultra Beast nature. In battle, Naganadel is a special attacking speed demon. Its 127 special attack, combined with 121 speed, makes it incredibly dangerous. capable of outspeeding most opponents and hitting them with powerful special attacks before they respond. The Poison Dragon typing is excellent offensively, providing few resistances and good coverage. And its ability, Beast Boost, typically raises speed after each knockout, making it progressively faster as battle continues. Its move pool emphasizes special attacks and speed. It learns Dragon Pulse naturally, the move required for evolution, providing powerful Dragon-type stab. Sludge Wave and Sludge Bomb offer Poison-type stab with excellent coverage. Flamethrower hits Steel types that resist its stab moves. And it can learn Nasty Plot to sharply raise special attack, transforming from merely dangerous to absolutely devastating. The strangest aspect of Naganadel is that it can evolve from Poipole, but cannot breed. Ultra Beasts are in the undiscovered egg group, meaning they cannot produce eggs even when left in a Pokémon daycare with compatible partners. This creates the bizarre situation where Naganadel can come into existence through evolution, but cannot create more Poipole through reproduction, suggesting the evolution itself might be somehow artificial or forced by exposure to our world's energies. Now let's discuss the version-exclusive post-game Ultra Beasts. In Pokémon Ultra Sun, players encounter Blacephalon at Pony Grove after becoming champion. In Pokémon Ultra Moon, it's Stakataka instead. Both are incredibly unique designs that push the Ultra Beast aesthetic in completely different directions. Blacephalon, codenamed UB Burst, is a fire ghost type that stands 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 29 pounds. And it is absolutely one of the strangest Pokémon designs ever created. Blacephalon resembles a clown, with a body consisting of a colorful striped costume and arms that end in white gloves. But instead of a normal head, it has a spherical mass of swirling colors that looks like a firework or confetti explosion. The name Blacephalon combines blast with cephalon, Greek for head, referencing its most disturbing trait. It can detach its head and use it as a bomb. Pokédex entries describe Blacephalon stealing the vitality from victims through trickery, then using its head as an explosive projectile. The head regenerates after detonation, allowing Blacephalon to repeatedly use this suicide bombing tactic without consequence. The clown motif is deliberate and unsettling. Clowns occupy an uncanny valley for many people. They're supposed to be fun and entertaining, but often come across as creepy and threatening. Blacephalon takes that discomfort and adds explosive decapitation, creating something that feels like it came from a horror movie rather than a children's game. The bright colors and playful appearance make the violence more disturbing, not less. Blacephalon originates from somewhere in Ultra Space. Though unlike other Ultra Beasts, we don't visit its home dimension. This creates mystery about what kind of environment produces explosive clown creatures. Is it a dimension of performers and entertainers? A world where theatrical displays are survival mechanisms? We simply don't know, and that absence of context makes Blacephalon more unsettling. In battle, Blacephalon has extreme offensive stats with terrible defenses. It sports 53 HP, 127 attack, 53 defense, 151 special attack, 79 special defense, and 107 speed, all prime numbers totaling 570. That 151 special attack is one of the highest in the game, making Blacephalon an incredible special attacker. Combined with decent speed and fire ghost typing providing excellent neutral coverage, it can potentially sweep teams. Its signature move is Mind Blown, a fire-type attack with a 150 base power that damages everything on the field, including Blacephalon itself, cutting its HP in half. When used, This represents the explosive decapitation described in the Pokédex. Blacephalon literally blows its own head off to attack, taking massive damage to dish out even more. The move is incredibly risky, but can potentially eliminate multiple opponents in a single turn. The counterpart in Pokemon Ultramoon is Stakataka, codenamed UB Assembly. This is a rock steel type that stands 18 feet 1 inch tall and weighs 1,807 pounds. Where Blacephalon is colorful and organic, Stakataka is gray and geometric. It resembles a living stone fortress or castle wall, composed of multiple smaller organisms stacked together to form a larger whole. The name Stakataka appears to combine stack with Atacama, a desert known for extreme dryness, or possibly just emphasize the stacking nature through repetition. Pokédex entries reveal that Stakataka isn't a single organism but a colony, countless small stone life forms that aggregate into the shape we recognize, working together as a collective intelligence. This colonial nature makes Stakataka unique among Ultra Beasts. While others are individuals, Stakataka is more like a swarm or hive that thinks and acts as one. The individual components have glowing spots that might be eyes, suggesting each piece is semi-independent, but subordinates its will to the collective. When Stakataka is damaged, individual components might break away, only to be replaced by others from the colony. Stakataka's design draws inspiration from both medieval fortifications and organisms like coral or sponges that grow through aggregation of many smaller units. The result is something that looks artificial but is apparently organic, a living castle that moves by shifting its component parts. It's simultaneously a defensive structure and a creature, blurring the line between architecture and biology. Like Celesteela, Stakataka originates from Ultra Crater, suggesting this barren dimension hosts multiple Ultra Beast species, or that the environmental pressures there favor massive, heavily armored organisms. Stakataka's fortress-like structure would be ideal for surviving whatever bombardment created those craters, making it a logical adaptation to its home environment. In battle, Stakataka is an extreme physical wall. It has 61 HP, 131 attack, 211 defense, 53 special attack, 101 special defense, and 13 speed, all prime numbers totaling 570. The 211 defense is the highest base defense stat of any Pokemon, making Stakataka almost impervious to physical attacks. The trade-off is its absolutely abysmal speed, ensuring it will always move last. But Stakataka doesn't need speed. It's built to wall physical attackers completely, while dealing massive damage with Gyro Ball, a steel-type move that becomes more powerful the slower the user is compared to the target. With 13 speed, Gyro Ball reaches maximum power against nearly every opponent, turning Stakataka's greatest weakness into its strongest weapon. Rock-type Stab. Moves like Stone Edge provide additional coverage, and its massive defense means it can survive multiple hits while slowly dismantling opposing teams. Both Blacephalon and Stakataka appear as post-game challenges, with Hao helping capture one that he then gives to the Ultra Recon squad for research, while the player keeps the others. Their appearance after Necrozma's defeat suggests the multiple Ultra Wormholes opened during that crisis allowed species from other dimensions to slip through, establishing themselves in Alola after the main threat was contained. These 4 Ultra Beasts, Poipole, Naganadel, Blacephalon, and Stakataka, demonstrate how Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon expanded the concept beyond the original 7. They show Ultra Beasts as starter Pokemon, as colonial organisms, as creatures capable of evolution, and as designs that push even further into unsettling territory. They prove the ultra space contains more diversity than initially apparent, with countless dimensions potentially hosting countless species we've never encountered. These 4 additions to the Ultra Beast catalog demonstrate how much remains unknown about ultra space. But to truly understand why Ultra Beasts matter beyond just being powerful Pokémon, we need to shift perspective one final time, examining not the creatures themselves, but the specialized equipment developed to capture them, and more importantly, the people who've been permanently changed by exposure to ultra space itself. The International Police's involvement with Ultra Beasts begins with a tragedy. 10 years before the events of Sun and Moon, a 3-person team was dispatched to Alola to eliminate an Ultra Beast that had appeared through a naturally occurring wormhole. The team included Looker, Nanu, who would later become the Ula Ula Island Kahuna, and a 3rd member whose name is never revealed. This 3rd member was a Faller, a human who had previously passed through an ultra wormhole and survived. The passage left her marked with residual energy, a distinctive aura that Ultra Beasts can sense and are drawn to. The International Police knew this and deliberately used her as bait, allowing the Ultra Beast to track her while the team prepared to capture or eliminate it. The operation went wrong. Looker hesitated at a critical moment, and in that hesitation, the Ultra Beast killed the 3rd team member. The loss devastated both Looker and Nanu, with Nanu specifically blaming the organization for using people as bait and retiring from the International Police afterward. Looker carried guilt from the incident, vowing never to let another Faller be put in danger if he could prevent it. 10 years later, when Ultra Beasts begin appearing in Alola again, the International Police sends Looker back to handle the situation. He's joined by Anabelle, who serves as his superior in the UB Task Force, a specialized division specifically created to deal with Ultra Beast incidents. What Looker doesn't realize initially is that Anabelle herself is a Faller, carrying the same energy signature that the previous victim had. Anabelle's story reveals the full tragedy of what being a Faller means. 10 years ago, she fell through an ultra wormhole and appeared on Pony Island, where Looker and Nanu found her unconscious. She had amnesia, remembering only her name, that she came from Hoenn, that she protected a tower there, and that she was a powerful trainer. The International Police detected incredible amounts of energy radiating from her, confirming her Faller status. The amnesia is significant. Both Professor Mohn and Anabelle suffered memory loss after passing through ultra wormholes, suggesting the experience itself causes neurological damage. Whether this is due to dimensional energies affecting the brain, trauma from the passage, exposure to ultra space's alien physics, or something else entirely remains unknown. But it means Fallers often can't even remember what happened to them, can't warn others about the dangers, and lose connections to their previous lives. Anabelle came from the world of Pokémon Emerald. Specifically, she was the Salon Maiden Anabelle, 7th frontier brain of Hoenn's battle frontier in that timeline. Her falling through an ultra wormhole suggests these portals can connect not just to ultra space dimensions, but to alternate timelines of the regular Pokémon world. She's literally from a different continuity, transported to the Sun and Moon timeline through dimensional accident. This has profound implications for the Pokémon multiverse. If ultra wormholes can access alternate timelines, then every different Pokémon game might exist in parallel, accessible through the right wormhole. The Anabelle in Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire would be a different person from the Anabelle in Sun and Moon, with the latter being the Emerald version displaced through space, time, and dimensional barriers simultaneously. Anabelle's faller status makes her uniquely valuable and uniquely vulnerable. Ultra beasts are drawn to her intensely, treating the energy she radiates as a potential doorway home. The international police use this deliberately, having Anabelle serve as bait to lure ultra beasts into areas where they could be captured. But unlike the previous operation where the faller was deliberately placed in danger, Anabelle insisted on taking the risks herself, rather than letting others face them. The player character becomes a faller when they pass through an ultra wormhole with Lily and Nebby to rescue Lusamine from ultra space. The moment they cross that dimensional threshold, they're marked with the same residual energy. Nanu recognizes this immediately, having seen fallers before. Looker confirms it, revealing the players now carrying an aura that will attract ultra beasts for the rest of their life. This creates an interesting dynamic where the player's heroic action, traveling to ultra space to save someone, permanently marks them in a way that attracts danger. It's not a power they gained or a gift they received. It's a scar, an alteration to their fundamental nature caused by exposure to forces beyond normal reality. They can never return to being a regular person because ultra beasts will always sense them, always be drawn to them. The international police developed specialized technology to capture ultra beasts, recognizing that conventional Pokeballs are almost useless. Beast balls have a distinctive white and blue coloring with a yellow center, resembling stylized eyes or perhaps an ultra wormhole itself. When used on ultra beasts, they have a capture rate modifier of 5 times normal, making them extraordinarily effective. When used on regular Pokémon, the capture rate is 0.1 times normal, making them almost worthless for anything except their intended targets. This specificity suggests beast balls work by somehow mimicking or manipulating the dimensional energies that define ultra beasts, creating an environment within the Pokeball that feels more like their home dimension. The technology was developed by the Aether Foundation, demonstrating that despite Lusamine's madness, the organization produced valuable breakthroughs in understanding and containing extra-dimensional threats. Beast balls can be purchased from the Aether Foundation after defeating Ultra Necrozma, allowing players to catch infinite Ultra Beasts through the Ultra Warp Ride feature. This accessibility raises interesting questions about whether capturing Ultra Beasts and keeping them in our dimension is ethical. They're invasive species when they appear in Alola uninvited, but if a trainer deliberately travels to their home dimension and captures them there, who's the invader? The UB Task Force missions follow a pattern throughout Sun and Moon's post-game. Looker or Anabelle receive reports of Ultra Beast sightings in various locations across Alola. The player travels to these locations, finds the creatures, and captures them using beast balls provided by the international police. Each mission reveals more about how Ultra Beasts behave when displaced to our world. Nihilego appears at Wella Volcano and Diglett's Tunnel, drawn to areas with unusual energy concentrations. Buzzwole or Pheromosa, depending on version, appears on Melamile Island, causing havoc through sheer presence rather than deliberate malice. Xurkitree invades lush jungle, draining electrical activity from the environment. Celesteela or Kartana, version dependent, appears in locations that match aspects of their home environments. And finally, Guzzlord appears in Resolution Cave, contained but threatening to break free and begin consuming everything. Between missions, the interpersonal dynamics between Looker, Anabelle, and the player develop. Looker tries desperately to keep Anabelle away from danger, remembering what happened to the previous faller. Anabelle insists on fulfilling her duty, arguing she can't ask others to face threats. She's unwilling to face herself. The player serves as both bait, due to their faller status, and protector, powerful enough to actually defeat Ultra Beasts rather than just luring them. The final mission involves Guzzlord, and Looker finally succeeds in misdirecting Anabelle, having her go to the wrong location so she won't be in danger. His reasoning is practical. She's been acting as bait repeatedly, exhausting herself, and Ultra Beasts become increasingly aggressive when multiple fallers are present. But there's also clear concern for someone he considers a comrade, even a friend, refusing to let what happened 10 years ago happen again. After all Ultra Beasts are captured, the International Police Headquarters grants Looker and Anabelle paid leave. Anabelle plans to visit Nanu and then spend time sightseeing around Alola, simple pleasure she's been denied while constantly working. The crisis is over, at least temporarily, and the region can return to something approaching normalcy. But the existence of fallers and beast balls raises uncomfortable questions about the long-term implications of ultra-space interactions. How many people have passed through ultra wormholes throughout history? Are there fallers who don't even know what they are, marked by energies they can't perceive? If ultra wormholes can occur naturally, could entire populations of fallers exist in regions where wormholes are more common? The technology to create and traverse ultra wormholes exists now. The Aether Foundation developed it, the Ultra Recon Squad uses it routinely, and players can access it through Ultra Warp Ride. This means deliberate dimensional travel might become more common, creating more fallers through voluntary rather than accidental exposure. Would that reduce the stigma of being a faller, or would it create new classes of people marked by dimensional energies? More concerning, if humans can become fallers by passing through wormholes, what happens to Pokémon that go through? Do they carry the same energy signature? Could a Pokémon transported to another dimension become an invasive species themselves, carrying residual energy that attracts that dimension's native creatures? The games don't explore these questions, but they're implicit in the mechanics that have been established. The Ultra Beast crisis in Alola serves as a warning about the dangers of playing with forces we don't fully understand. Professor Mohn's research opened doors that should have perhaps remained closed. Lusamine's obsession weaponized that research, turning theoretical knowledge into practical threats. And now the tools to create or traverse ultra wormholes exist, available to anyone with sufficient resources and lack of ethical constraints. What we've seen might only be the beginning. 11 Ultra Beast species have been documented, but ultra space connects to countless dimensions. How many other species exist that we haven't encountered? What happens when someone opens a wormhole to a dimension we're even less prepared to deal with than we were for Nihilego or Guzzlord? These questions linger as we reach the end of this exploration. The Ultra Beasts came to Alola not through choice but through circumstance, displaced from their homes by artificial wormholes and finding themselves in a world where they don't belong. Some were contained and returned. Others were captured by trainers and remain in our world. And somewhere in the infinite expanse of ultra space, countless dimensions spin on, unaware that their barriers have been breached and might be breached again. The story of the Ultra Beasts is ultimately about boundaries. What happens when they're crossed, what's lost in the crossing, and whether some boundaries should never be breached at all. They represent fears about invasive species, about environmental destruction, about playing God with forces beyond our comprehension. But they also represent wonder, the possibility that reality is far stranger and more diverse than we imagined, that infinite variations exist beyond our perception. So if you've made it this far through this deep dive into one of Pokemon's most fascinating and unsettling mysteries, thank you for joining me on this journey through dimensions. If this video helped you understand the Ultra Beasts better, appreciate their designs more deeply, or just entertained you for a while, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave a like. It helps more people discover content like this and shows me that detailed lore explorations are something you want to see more of. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There are so many more mysteries in the Pokemon universe to explore. So many stories that deserve this level of deep examination. The Ultra Beasts are just one chapter in a much larger narrative, and I'm excited to continue uncovering these hidden depths with you. Until next time, trainers, keep your beast balls ready, your Z crystals charged, and remember, sometimes the greatest threats come from places we never thought to look, wearing faces we never expected to see. Stay curious, stay cautious, and I'll see you in the next one.